Hey everyone, I'm back with another House of the Dragon video. In this one, I'm looking at some of the scenes that didn't make the final cut in season 1, and if the series would have been better off with their inclusion. There was a scene they filmed in which Viserys hinted at Aegon's prophecy to Daemon. I think removing this from the show was a good move. The brothers had such a rocky relationship, and it's doubtful that Viserys would have done this, unless it was a deathbed scene. And in that case, Daemon would have just thought that Viserys was losing his mind. One scene I wish they had kept was a bonding one between Rhaenyra and Alicent, just prior to Alicent marrying Viserys. Rhaenyra was helping her to get ready for the wedding. The two had a complex relationship, and this would have worked as a good bridge scene to episode 4. If you remember, episode 4 was the one where Rhaenyra sat down with Alicent in the garden. Viserys had just made fun of Alicent, suggesting that Daemon would want to see the tapestries. Rhaenyra kind of consoled her here, and they had a slightly strained but friendly talk. But this all felt a bit off because the last we had seen of them together, Rhaenyra was ambivalent in the ride out to the hunt for Aegon's name day in episode 3. This pre wedding scene would have demonstrated that the relationship was more of a roller coaster with good and bad moments. Speaking of bad moments, there was another fight scene between Rhaenyra and Alicent that they left out, and it was after Rhaenyra learned at the council that her father was marrying her best friend. I don't think we would have really gained that much with its addition. It's one of those that I'd like to see if they put it in the DVD set, but at the same time, it doesn't feel like we're missing out. Another one they cut was a scene where Daemon comforted his daughters after their mother died. After the show, I remember seeing some criticism that the only shot we saw of him, after Vagar lit up the barbecue for Lena, was of Daemon standing across from his daughters. The last perception was that he's cold and uncaring. So, yeah, that's a scene that they should have put in. As I've mentioned in 2 previous videos, there have been some questionable choices when it comes to Daemon and the show's presentation of his character. They tend to tilt more in a negative direction for a character which George R. R. Martin said was a gray one. Daemon is also George's favorite figure in the entire Song of Ice and Fire world, so it's time they start to remove a bit of these darker shades of gray from his portrayal and present Daemon in his full complexity. Emma's birth scene was even more bloody and disturbing than what we saw on the show. I don't think there are many out there that would have wanted to see all of that. Well, maybe Kristen Cole, but he doesn't count. Seriously, though, the way they worked in the fighting of the tourney with Emma's torturous final moments was perfect. It didn't need to be any more graphic to bring home the impact to the audience. I was a little surprised to learn that Rhaenys escape from the dragon pit was even more brutal than what we saw. Following her escape, there was some criticism that she had such disregard for the common folk. Well, it turns out that the scene where she was turning to go out the door that originally showed Meleys trampling even more citizens and adding considerably to the coronation's body count. Like with the extended Emma death scene, leaving all of that out was another wise choice. At Viserys' last dinner, a number of people made toasts. There was one cutout where Daemon gave a toast to his brother. While I've been critical of some of the choices with Daemon, I think this was a good deletion because the moment where he helped Viserys to the throne and placed the crown on his head was so powerful. Without any words, you could see the bond and the sentiment between the two, so I'm glad they left that as our last impression of the two together. It was perfection. What I found interesting is that there were no deleted scenes between Harwin and Rhaenyra. I was sure they had to be some cuts made there because his introduction as the father of her children and subsequent death came so quickly within the course of one episode. But no, all of that was planned, and there were no earlier scenes. So that rounds out the bigger cut scenes from season 1. I recently finished watching the Rings of Power series on Prime, and it was very underwhelming. I'm working on a video that compares what they did wrong to what House of the Dragon did right. Aiming to get that one out on Sunday. My upload schedule has generally been Thursday and Sundays, but that'll likely change to maybe one video per week during the holidays, but we'll see how it goes. So that's it for this one. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button. And if you're not subscribed, listen to Caraxes and do it now. I want to thank everyone for watching, and I'll see you soon.